guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing another recent reads, and this is going to include books from the end of November, all of December, and then there's like one book in here that I've finished so far in the month of January. So we're going to be talking about 13 books. I don't think I've ever talked about so many books in one recent reads, but here we are. I also wanted to kind of explain my recent reads because I have quite a few new subscribers and I just want to let you guys know how this is going to work. So I don't do like monthly TBRs. I have tried like seasonal TBRs, and occasionally I will put out a TBR video, but for the most part I do not do TBRs because one, they stress me out because I feel like I have to stick to those books, and the second reason is just because I'm a mood reader. There are occasions where I know which book I will be trying to read from month to month, whether that's I'm trying to do like a particular vlog or I am participating in a book club. But other than that, I just pick up books as I am in the mood for them, and I feel like TBRs kind of restrict my mood reading, so I just don't do them. So instead I have recent reads. I try to film them every time I have like a good handful of books to talk about. Try to make it to where it's like no less than like 5 books, and then I'll just go ahead and put out a recent reads. Sometimes I can do multiple in a month. Lately it's only been me posting them once a month, and they just happen to fall at like the beginning of the month. But yeah, on this channel, instead of like seeing like TBRs and wrap-ups, you will just see recent reads, and it seems to be working out for me, so I'm just going to continue to do that. So I normally would start with like my lowest rated books and work my way up to my highest rated. But for this one, and because I have so many books, it just made sense for me to just go ahead and break it up by genre and my DNFs. So we will go ahead and get started. So the first 4 books that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to like breeze right through them because I have a dedicated vlog for all 4 of these books. These were included in my mystery thriller vlog, so I will have that video linked if you guys want to know my full thoughts. But just really quickly, one of the books that I read for that blog is Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates. So this one just follows a group of people who are traveling in the mountains for like a vacation. They end up getting stranded, have to spend some time at this like random cottage that they found, and there is a killer among them that is picking them off one by one. This was actually my favorite book that I read out of the group of books for that blog, and I rated this one 4 stars. And the first one that I actually read for that blog, which is a really short novella, that it is The Christmas Gift by Peter Swanson, and this one follows this American student by the name of Ashley. She goes and stays with one of her schoolmates. She stays with them for the holidays, Christmas holidays, and she learns that her friend's brother was actually accused of murdering someone in their little town, and Ashley starts to kind of get a lot of information about the brother and that incident that took place. But I rated this one 3 stars. Then the other one that I read for that blog is Christmas Presents by Lisa Unger, and this one follows this woman by the name of Madeline, and she is actually the survivor of this murderer that she used to be friends with back in the day. And so this podcaster comes into town wanting to revisit that case, and then some new details emerge, and I also gave this one 3 stars. And then the last one that I read for the vlog, but I kind of like read it throughout the vlog, is Christmas and Other Horrors. This is a anthology by several different like horror writers, and I think it's about almost 20 stories in this one. I ultimately gave this one 3 stars. It does revolve around different Christmas traditions and celebrations all over the world, and it incorporates some horror elements to each of those stories. I thought this one was fine. I was disappointed by this one the most, even though I gave it 3 stars. But yeah, like I said, if you guys want to hear my full thoughts on any of these books, I would highly recommend that you guys check out that blog. The next 2 books that I'm going to talk about are my DNFs that I had actually in the month of December. The first one is A Winter in New York by Josie Silver, and this is a like holiday adult romance, and in this one we are following the main character, Iris. She's a chef. She has moved to New York, and one day she like stumbles upon this gelato shop, and she learns that they are struggling with trying to make their next batches of gelato because the person that knows the recipe, I believe it was like their uncle, he is in the hospital and he's not doing well, and they can't get the recipe out of him. And with this particular family-owned gelato shop, there's this rule that only 2 people can know the recipe for this gelato at a time. And so currently, because the uncle is in the hospital, nobody else knows the recipe for this gelato. But then Iris discovers that she actually knows the recipe, and so she kind of gets wrapped up in this gelato shop, and she's trying to like tell them but not tell them she knows, and she kind of starts like a romance with the current owner, Gio, which is a nephew, I think. But I DNF'd this because I was really bored. I was not invested in this budding romance, and I wasn't really like invested in her and this family and them like getting to know each other. And I was honestly tired of hearing about this gelato shop. I understand that we're gonna have to talk about gelato, but the amount of times that these people said the word gelato was annoying. It was very, very annoying. And yeah, I just did not have a fun time with this. I think I got at least over 100 pages in it, and I was trying to listen to it on audio, but it just did not work out for me, so I unfortunately had to DNF this one. The other book that I DNF'd is Bright Young Women. This is the one that actually made it into my books that I DNF'd for 2023. That other one, A Winter in New York, I DNF'd it right after I filmed that video, so it didn't make it in there, but I did DNF these around the same time, because I think I tried this one, and then I tried that one, and that one didn't work. So yeah, it was just not a fun time. So Bright Young Women is like a true crime story. It revolves around the murders of Ted Bundy, but it's not told from his POV, but it's told from the victims and their experiences. And this started off great. It started off with a murder. Not that that's great, but it started off where you're like invested in this story and trying to see where it goes. But after that, like the timeline got confusing, the characters that we were following, I just wasn't feeling anything towards them, especially because at times I was just confused about where we were in the story. Yeah, this one just didn't work for me. So I have seen this on quite a few people's like best of the year for 2023, and I was hoping that I would enjoy this. It sounded like something that I would enjoy, but it just did not work for me either, and like I said, I had to DNF. So the next one that I'm going to talk about is my fantasy read, and that was The Bone Shard Emperor by Andrea Stewart. This is the second book in the Drowning Empire series. The first book in that series is The Bone Shard Daughter, and because this is the second book, I'm not gonna go into too much detail about the plot, but I did rate this one 4 stars. The first book in the series, I rated 5 stars. I absolutely adored that book, but this one I gave 4 stars just because there were a couple of slow moments in the story, but overall, I still obviously enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the characters. There is like another magic system that was kind of like alluded to in the first one, but we got a lot of explanation for it in this book. Basically, this world just revolves around bone shard magic and how constructs are made from people's bones, and then like the bones have inscriptions of different commands in them. And so that's still in here, but like I said, we get another like magic system in this one as well. There is a lot of like political intrigue. It's a lot of setup for the last book in the series, which I cannot wait to get to. And yeah, I just had a fun time with this. And the thing that I think I have just been enjoying so much about this story is just the characters. And I feel like if you read the first one and you didn't really care for the characters that much, then this one probably isn't going to work for you. It is slower, so if you're not invested in the world at all, you're probably not gonna like this one, but because I enjoyed all those things, I had a fun time with this one. So then the next 2 books that I want to talk about are 2 mystery thrillers. The first one being An Unwanted Guest by Sherry Lapina. Now, I was excited to get to this because I say it time and time again. I've only read, at this point, 2 books now, but the first book that I read by this author was Not a Happy Family, which I absolutely adored because the characters in there just cracked me up. But in this one, it's the same. But in this one, we are following a group of guests that are staying at this hotel, but then they end up getting snowed in. And this book includes quite a few characters. So I think we have like 2 or 3 couples, 2 friends that came, and then we're also following the son that works there, and then the father that also works there, that is the chef and the owner of this hotel. And so they get snowed in, and the first night that they're there, well, the next morning, one of the guests finds another guest dead, appearing to have fallen down the stairs. Throughout the days, more people are dying, so they're getting picked off one by one, and the guests are trying to figure out whether or not it's one of them that is doing the killings, or could someone have snuck into the hotel before the snowstorm hit. So I rated this one 4 stars. I had an absolute fun time reading this one. One, it gave me like the wintry vibes because they're snowed in. And then 2, I just really enjoyed following the characters. So we're following multiple POVs. These are really short chapters, and each chapter is following not even each chapter, but like each section or like page break, we're like following someone else. I enjoyed the timeline because it's giving us a breakdown of what's happening throughout each day. So it'll start at like Friday at 8 a.m. and then Friday at 9:30 a.m. And so we're getting that throughout the story. And then I liked when these guests are really starting to try to figure out what is going on. Their secrets are being revealed, because we know I love a good juicy secret. And so their secrets are being revealed, and they're starting to turn on each other, obviously, because they don't know who to trust. And then the twist, there's like 2 major twists. Neither one of them I predicted, and I love when that happens. I love when I'm just like caught off guard by what happened in the book. But then there was like that final twist at the end that I kind of saw that one coming, but it was like the cherry on top of this book. And yeah, I just had a really, really fun time with this. And if you are looking for a good mystery thriller set in the winter, I would highly suggest this one. So then the other mystery thriller that I have is Not So Perfect Strangers by L.S. Stratton. And this one follows 2 women. One is Black, her name is Tasha. The other one is a white woman, her name is Madison. And they are both in like these not good relationships. So one of them is being like verbally and physically abused by their husband, and then the other one is dealing with some infidelity in their relationship. And so one day while Tasha is driving, she encounters Madison, who comes up to her car and is like beating on the windows, saying that she needs to be let in. It appears that she is in some sort of danger, and Tasha lets her in, and then it is like a whirlwind from there. They kind of like keep in contact over the next few months, and after they've been talking, they realize that they are both not happy in their relationships, and one of them comes up with a plan to kind of get rid of each of their partners. One of them doesn't really take it serious. The other one takes the plan serious. We just watch as these 2 women are wrapped up in each other's lives, and not in a good way. I had a fun time reading this one. This went in a direction that I was not expecting at all. These characters, one of these characters in particular, is completely unhinged. We do get some backstory about them and why they kind of are the way that they are, but the things that they do throughout this book is like the true definition of unhinged. And then we have the other character who just is not wanting to open up their eyes to see what is going on, and it just takes them a while to figure out exactly what is going on. But I had a fun time with this one. I enjoyed both of these characters. This does touch on like a lot of racial things, because like I said, one character is white, one character is Black, and it kind of touches on how like the white character obviously would have more privilege than the Black character, and how that white character, Madison, would potentially be able to get away with certain things while Tasha would not be able to. So I love that it touched on that, and the ending of this and the twists that were revealed, again, I did not see them coming. I thought I knew the direction that this was going in, but it did not go that way, and for that I enjoyed this, and like I said, gave this one 4 stars. So the last 4 books that I have to talk about are all romance. One of them is just an adult romance, and then the other ones are like adult holiday romances. So the first one here is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. And so this is like number 1 in this series, I guess. The second one was Yours Truly, which was the one that I read first, which I absolutely loved. And that was one of the books in my top books of last year. So in this one, we are following our two main characters, Alexis and Daniel. And these two characters could not be any more different. So Daniel comes from a small town. He is running a, like, I don't know if it's like an Airbnb or like a bed and breakfast, whatever, he's running that. And he just is making an honest living in this small town. He also does like carpentry work on the side. And then we have Alexis, who comes from a very like wealthy family. It's a family of doctors. Her parents were doctors. Her brother's a doctor. She's a doctor. And she just comes from money and she's very privileged. And so one day, while I don't remember where she's coming from, but she gets stuck in a ditch. And Daniel is the one that comes and pulls her car out of the ditch. And from there, a romance ensues. The biggest thing about this one is it is an age gap, and she is 10 years older than Daniel. And so that is a big, sort of like a big issue for her, and something that she is working through this entire story to try to get over. And also this kind of talks about domestic violence and being in a verbally abusive relationship. There's also another character in here that is currently in a physically abusive relationship. And so Alexis is also trying to come to terms with her relationship where she was experiencing like verbal abuse. She is trying to get over that and build herself back up again and be ready to actually commit to a relationship potentially with Daniel. So I gave this one 4 stars. A lot of people have really enjoyed this book. And while I did enjoy it, I loved the character of Alexis and Daniel and their romance. I love Daniel as the guy, and just how like sweet and attentive, and how he was ready to like drop everything for her. I loved their overall relationship. My problem with this, and what I really just couldn't get on board with, was their age gap, because that was supposed to be like a really big problem for Alexis in the story. The thing is though, if you didn't tell me that there was a 10-year age gap between them, I would never have known. Daniel does not come off as like immature or somebody that is like 10 years younger than Alexis. In my opinion, to me, Alexis was the one that came off very immature in this story. It was like some of her actions in this and some of the things that she would say in regards to like their relationship just was kind of annoying. And Daniel just came off as like the more mature one out of the two. If this is going to be or have like that age gap, I would want to like feel that, especially if that's going to be like one of the main issues that they're facing. And unfortunately, I just didn't feel that, and I kind of wanted to. But overall, I really did like this book. I like those two as a character, Daniel more so than Alexis, and I like the side characters, and then how it touched on like the domestic violence. I liked how this author was able to talk about stuff without being like overly graphic. We get the picture. So yeah, I would still highly recommend this one. It just wasn't my favorite out of this one and Yours Truly. So then the next one that I actually just finished in the month of January, and it's one of the 3 holiday romances that I'm going to talk about. This is The Christmas Fix by Lucy Score. So in this one, we are following Noah and Catalina. She goes by Kat. And at the start of this story, Noah lives in this town that's called Mary, Connecticut. I'm pretty sure it's called Mary, but I think it's in Connecticut. And they are hit with a devastating hurricane. And it really sucks for this town because during Christmas, they put on this really big festival that brings people from all over. The town is able to make a lot of money, and this year they don't think that that's going to be able to happen because of the devastation left by this hurricane. And Noah is also like the city manager, so he is the one that has to like take care of all of these issues that they are now facing. So in comes Kat. And Kat is a reality TV star. She actually works at like it's like the equivalent of like, you know, HGTV where they do like all the home renovations. She like does one of those shows. And so she gets her network to agree to come into this town and renovate it and put on the Christmas festival, but they're going to be doing it for a TV show. Noah does not like that. He doesn't want like his town to be exploited. He doesn't really agree with Kat in the way that, you know, reality TV stars live. And previously, she came into their town to help renovate a resident's home. And there was an incident that took place the last time that she was there. And Noah is like, absolutely not. But somehow he gets roped into doing it and he agrees. So in the first part of this book, Noah and Kat do not get along. There is like a lot of banter in between them. And so we are basically watching them go from enemies to lovers. I gave this book 3 stars. I loved like the small town vibes and how this town had to come together to try to fix up everything so they can get ready for this Christmas festival. I liked kind of like, it's not necessarily a timeline, but it is like a countdown to Christmas. And I just felt like I got all of the Christmas vibes. And I especially enjoyed Kat and Noah's banter with each other, because I've read a few like enemies to lovers stories and they just didn't feel like enemies to lovers. They would have like one fight or two and then all of a sudden they were like madly in love with each other. Whereas in this book, for half of the book, they did not like each other and it was very clear. Even the other characters were confused on why they just despised each other, and these characters were trying to like get Kat and Noah to understand that the other person was great. So I just loved their like relationship and how it grew over the course of the story. And then the spicy scenes in this book were very spicy. It delivered on the spice more than I thought that it would. So that was a plus. I just liked Kat and Noah as characters themselves. Like Noah was a single father. I think he was like recently divorced, but he's trying to take care of his 12-year-old daughter, Sarah, along with like his ex-wife. And Noah is also like this really uptight, by the book kind of guy. And so he's very passionate about the town that he works in and wants to make sure that everyone that's living there is like comfortable and everything is like done by the book, like I said. But he just doesn't know how to have fun because he's so uptight. Whereas we have Catalina King, who is very self-assured. She understands who she is. She knows who she wants. And the two of them, even though they are completely different, they just work together. And so, yeah, I gave this one 3 stars. The only reason why, even though I just listed a whole bunch of things that I enjoyed about this book, I just don't think that it's going to be something that's going to leave like a lasting impression on me. But while I was reading it, I was having a good time. The other holiday romance that I have is You Make It Feel Like Christmas by Donna Hill and Frances Ray. And I adored this story. So this is comprised of 2 short stories. So in the first one, it's called Walking Around the Christmas Tree. And that one follows this older couple. When I say older, they're like a couple of years shy of 50. They've been married for like 20 something years, and we're following Donna and Edward. And they have like the greatest relationship from the outside looking in. You know, they have grown children who are doing well for themselves. They live in a really nice house. Edward has a really nice job. I think he's like some sort of architect. And then Donna is like a stay-at-home mom. But over the years, she has really just been feeling like stifled and wished that she could start to work outside of the home and kind of like have her own identity in this relationship, something she just doesn't feel that she has had in a long time. She tries to express this to Edward. He just doesn't understand because he's in his head, he's like, I'm doing everything for you. You don't have to worry about anything. You know, you have all the money that you want. You're staying at home. Like, he just doesn't understand like what it is that she truly wants. And so she tells him that she wants a divorce. She doesn't really want a divorce, but she's telling him that she wants this divorce because she hopes that it would like give him this wake-up call. So on Thanksgiving, during dinner, she decides that she's gonna tell her whole family that they are going to get a divorce and that they're going to sell this house that he had specifically made for their family, and everyone is like blindsided. So we are watching Edward trying to win back the affections of his wife, and he's hoping that they won't actually have to get a divorce. So then the second story in this one, The Wish, it is about this guy who was out talking to like, I think it was like one of his friends or his brother. They were out at a store, and he makes this like offhand comment that he wishes that he was married. And this older lady, I think she's like in her like 60s or 70s, she overhears a conversation and then says, your wish has been granted. And from that point forward, all of these women have all of a sudden noticed him and have been like throwing themselves at him, and he's getting kind of like irritated, and he tries to go to the old woman's house and tell her like, hey, that wasn't really what I wanted. And she's like, well, too late, you're gonna be at least engaged by Christmas Day. And then he actually runs into this older woman's niece, and a romance kind of ensues. I gave this one 4 stars. I adored both of these stories. That second story, The Wish, I just thought it was hilarious, with like, you know, all of the women throwing themselves at him. And then I did like the relationship between him and the niece. The only problem that I had with that one is that I just thought that it wrapped up really quickly. That first story, it was like 200 pages, and this next story was significantly less. And I just felt like I wouldn't have minded being a little bit longer if we could have seen their relationship like not wrap up so fast. So, but overall, I did like that story. But then the first story, Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, with like this divorce that she threw out there, I really enjoyed that story. I thought it was hilarious, with him trying to like get his wife back and trying to like enlist, you know, the help of their kids and his co-workers to try to, one, figure out what the heck is wrong with her and why all of a sudden it feels like she just woke up like wanting a divorce, and then him just trying to find ways to make it up to her and really figure out like what is going on with her. And not only are we like following their relationship, we also see like their daughter is going through like her own relationship issues. But my favorite thing about that first story is that we are watching an older couple. I don't really read or come across a lot of romances where it involves like older couples. And so these are like seasoned people. They've been together for a while. They're dealing with like real issues, not anything that's like superficial and petty. And I did not realize how much I enjoyed that until I started reading this one. But this is a Christmas story that I have had my eye on for like the last couple of years, and I'm just upset with myself that it took me so long to get to this one. But I really enjoyed this one, and if you have not read this and this sounds interesting, I would highly recommend this one, and I gave it 4 stars. So then the last book that I need to talk about, that's also a Christmas romance, and it's going to be like the last book in this video, it is The Christmas Orphans Club by Becca Freeman. And I was like really anticipating this book for some reason. But this one, we follow 2 friends. We have Hannah and Finn, and they became friends in college. It was like 1 year they both didn't go home for the holidays, and so they just kind of connected. And then every year they just have this tradition to do something like big for Christmas, and they have like included like 2 other people that they've met like randomly through the years. They have a friend named Priya, who was actually Hannah's roommate at one point, and then this guy named Theo, who ended up spending a Christmas with them because Finn brought him home one night, and then they've just been like friends ever since. And so the thing between Hannah and Finn is they consider themselves the Orphans Club because Finn doesn't really go home to visit his parents at all because his father in particular wasn't really accepting of him being gay. So he just never connected with his family like that. And then Hannah actually lost her parents tragically when she was younger, and it was just her and her sister. So she just always felt like an orphan. Out of the 2 between Hannah and Finn, Hannah is the one that is like really into like them doing stuff on Christmas and having their friends and stuff together, because she feels like her friends are her actual family because she just never really grew up with a family. And so over the course of the story, we're following them as they're like experiencing their last Christmas together because Finn got a job out in LA, and so this is going to be his last Christmas with them, and Hannah is just like all torn up because this is going to mess up with their traditions. But we also throughout the story are having like flashbacks to like previous Christmases and how they all got together, how they met. There was a point where Hannah and Finn had a falling out, and so we got to see that. And so we are just following this group of friends during their last Christmas together, presumably. I enjoyed this one. I really liked the characters. I thought their friendship was amazing. I liked the talk around just like found family and how you can make family with anyone. They don't have to be blood related. They can be your friends. But this was just fine. I thought that I was gonna be like blown away by this. It was good. I was enjoying it while I was reading it, but this is another story where I just feel like it did not leave a lasting impression, and it was actually kind of hard for me to remember what this was about. But I would recommend this one, especially if you are looking for like the found family and you're really big into friendships. And there is a bit of a romance in here as well, because Ben has a thing for Theo, the guy that he had brought home, but it never went anywhere. And so before he leaves, he's trying to figure out what to do with those feelings. So if you like friendships and you like a little bit of romance, this will work out for you, but it was just fine to me, and I ended up giving it 3 stars. So those are all the books that I have read recently. Like I said, these come from the end of November, December, and 1 book from January. So if you guys have read any of these, let me know your thoughts. If you are interested in these, let me know your thoughts, and let me know what you guys are currently reading down in the comments. But I will see you guys next time. Bye.